What is going on, guys? Jack here, and yeah, we're back for another video. Today we're going to be covering the importance of opposition reports and how we can use them to our advantage, how we can look at them, and how we can, I guess, adjust our tactics to benefit us the most. Now, this is something which you don't have to do. I'm not saying go and study opposition reports constantly, but particularly in big games and games perhaps where you need to win, it can be very useful to look at the scout reports and tweak formations, set players like roles, that kind of stuff, completely based off a report. So the first thing to look at when you load up an opposition report, which of course appears in your inbox a few days before the kickoff of the game, is your tactical analysis. This basically shows you what the opposition's preferred tactics are. So as we can see, they're using 4-4-2. They've used this and started it for every game this year. You can see how Bradford get on using this formation. You can also see the other formations they've tried out. Usually the AI has a tactic which is more of a attacking tactic, more controlling, and one that's kind of a bit more defensive. So in this case we have 3-4-3, which I'm going to assume is their go out and smash and grab a goal in the last few minutes kind of formation, and 4-5-1 I'm guessing is for parking the bus when maybe they get a few goals ahead or need to hold on to a lead late into a game. But anyway, I don't want to talk about that too long because I mean you can look at that yourself and make a judgment. But one of the main areas to look at when you look at a opposition report is the squad depth. This is basically like your own team report, and you can see them, I guess, their abilities. Now these star ratings are completely in comparison to my team. If we were to do it to their team players, you can see it gets rid of my players and a few of the ratings have changed and whatever, but I prefer just to have it set to compare against my players because it gives you an idea to see where you can outplay them on the park. So you can see here where we have our stronger players and then where they have their stronger players. So tactically I normally run a 4-4-2 with this York side. We're currently running this 4-4-2, which is kind of a little bit odd. It's more of a 4-3-3, but it's a really good attacking formation, you know, focusing the play down the flank where the ball is going to be going, and it works really well. But anyway, that's a bit irrelevant for now. You'll see why I've explained that in a second. So we can look at a team's report, and from here we can see that Bradford have got two very good centre backs in McCarley and Davies. So if we look at Davis's report, is it going to load? Are we going to load? There we go. Okay, so we can look at players' individual attributes. Now you won't get all the opposition players' attributes, however you'll get a decent selection of the more important players usually. So the reason I'm looking at Davis and McArdle's stats is just so I can see if they're kind of weak in any areas. So they're both two very well rounded off centre backs. Occasionally you'll get a really slow centre back you're playing against and a really fast one. So I'm going to say, for the argument's sake, McArdle's playing right centre back and Davis is playing left centre back, and we're going to say McArdle playing right centre back is slow. So what I do personally here is I'd look at my tactics, and we have two very different strikers in my club in Walker and Sutherland. If we look at Walker, he's a target man, big guy up top, not the quickest player, and then we have Sutherland, who is a very fast and explosive, really quick striker. So in the situation of their right centre back McArdle being slow, it would make sense for me to put Sutherland here on the left hand side, so he's directly kind of running at the slower defender. Of course you're probably wondering, for those of you who have no brains, why are you putting a right centre back counter on the left side? Well, of course, right centre back facing me covers my left side. Does that make sense? It made sense in my head. I think everyone knew that already, but in case that wasn't obvious. So that's just one thing to look at there. Another thing you can look at is the Bradford City. Where's the report gone? One sec. We've lost the report. I wish they'd made the menu simpler, and I know that's so easy to say, but I wish I could just load up the report really quickly. There probably was an option to do it then, and I completely missed it, and I'm a derp. So we can now look at what else is going on with their squad. So back to the squad depth. So that was just covering the centre backs. Right back and left back, they have a right back and a left back here. They have Doyle, who's their main centre midfielder player, and I'm guessing he's probably not going to be playing right back. I know he's their natural centre midfield creative player, so it's unlikely that he's going to be doing anything. So first choice right back for them is going to be Derby. Now Derby has, as you can see, I've not got a complete graph of him, but I could see that he has, it's not bad speed, but Sutherland and my wingers are probably a little bit quicker. As for on the left side, they've got De Conte, who is a really fast left back. So if I had a fast player here, it would make sense to put them on the right hand side rather than putting them on the left, and especially with a formation like mine where we focused down one wing. In this situation I want to be targeting Derby on the right, so that's why I've got it set up like so. Just on my team instructions, I need to make sure that I put my focus passing to the left flank. Sometimes I'll push up McCall to centre mid and Blair up to here, and that gives a good attacking threat against teams with poor defensive records. But we are playing Bradford today, so it's important that we, play to our strengths. So as you can see here, we've got Smith and McCall, both pretty defensive players. One is going to be a ball-winning midfielder, one's just going to be the defensive midfielder. The main aim behind this is that McCalling is going to be eliminating the threat of the Bradford City midfield. They've got a very good creative midfield, and they've got that one centre mid whose name I said earlier. Let's see what his name was. His name is Doyle. So they've got this one very good creative midfielder, so it's going to be McCallum's job to just defend him out the game, cover the defence a bit, and stop this guy from being able to have any space, because he's a really good rounded off centre mid for in League 2. As for their attacking threat, they've not got much in the terms of attacking mid. They've got two wingers, Thompson and Reed. I'm guessing Thompson's going to be starting right mid for them, and Reed's going to be starting left mid rather than in their more attacking roles, which they prefer. So it's important to look at them just to see kind of what's happening. So we have Reed here, who's a fast player with not a lot of technique, and we also have Thompson, who is a right winger with a lot of pace. Again, kind of standard in the lower leagues that you'll see fast players. He hasn't got the best stamina. And it's going to be important that we keep these guys out the game. So Thompson's right-footed only, and I'm hoping Reed's going to be left-footed only, because that makes my job a lot easier. So he's left-footed only, so it's important to bear that in mind if Thompson and Reed start, that we have something there. And then in terms of the centre, they've got Hines and Hibbard. Hibbard is the second choice striker, but I expect him to start, and he has good bravery. He's a good kind of well-rounded off player with decent aerial ability, not the fastest player. And then in Hines, they have I think a more faster kind of deep line forward who isn't very good in the air. So one thing I can look at here is potentially sorting out my centre back so that Clark Carlisle, who I believe isn't the quickest player, it's been a while since I played the save. Yeah, he isn't the quickest player. It'd make more sense for him to mark the guy with more of an aerial threat, whereas we leave Kenan, who's on loan from, I want to say Wigan. Yeah, he is on loan from Wigan. I'm going to leave him as the more faster centre half to cover the faster attacking threat, and that's kind of how you want to kind of sort it out, or at least that's my preferences. So anyway, moving on from this, I'm just going to skip through this all really quick. One thing, little tip, one thing I strongly recommend is going to staff responsibilities and changing first team responsibilities to sets instructions on opposition players. What this does is it means that having seen the report, the assistant will attempt to look at opposition's players and see and set up kind of individual roles for our players and individual instructions for their players on how we're going to kind of tackle them. So I'm just going to skip through all this pre-match stuff just so you can see this, because this is something that I know a lot of people do use, but for those of you who don't use, it can be very important. So I'm hoping that Thompson and Reed are going to be starting on the wings, and it looks like neither of them are going to be starting for them, which is a bit disappointing, because it means that the whole preparation that we went through to eliminate them isn't going to be worth it. However, what we can do is we can look at Richie Jones, who's their right mid, and we could see that he is a right-footed player who is a centre mid who's going to be playing right backs, who's going to be playing right mid. So I'm not too worried about him. He hasn't got the best kind of midfield stats for this league, because pace is pretty much everything in these lower divisions. And then they've got James Meredith, who is not a natural left mid, but he's going to be playing there today for them. He's very fast. Again, I haven't got a complete report of it on him, but I can see he's fast, and he's left-footed only. So one thing I am going to do here is change it so Meredith is set to show onto weaker foot. So what I've done there is my assistant didn't seem to do anything. These asterisks mean that individual kind of things have been done. But here, sorry for me sniffing. I'm still ill, it sucks, I know. But anyway, Modef, we're going to put him to show onto weaker foot, because he is not a natural winger, and if we can show him onto his weaker foot, he's going to struggle to get the ball into the box and link up with the rest of his team. In terms of Hines and Hibbard, we've got these both guys on tight marking always. Luckily for me, Hibbard, who is the header of threat, is going to be playing on the left side, and so I have Sinclair playing on the right centre back for my position, so I don't need to worry about my centre backs because they're both going to be tight marking these guys like for like with a fast and the aerial threat. Another thing I'm going to do here is, because Hines is their leading goal scorer, I believe. I'm getting muddled up between them, but we'll just check. You know, there's no harm in doing that. If we look at his stats for the season, okay, it's not Hines. It's not Hines. Don't worry, guys. Panic is over. Hibbard is their leading goal scorer, so I am going to put on him to close down always, which is a little bit risky, but I think it's going to work in this situation. I'm also going to put show onto weaker foot. And one of these players didn't have the best bravery, and one thing you can do against the lesser brave players, so it's Hines in this case, is set it to hard tackling. Now what this does is, hard tackling is good against players who are susceptible to injury, who have low condition, are playing with an injury, or have low bravery because they won't go into the tackles as hard. So that's one good little tip for there. Doyle is their playmaker, so we've got him on show onto weaker foot. I'm going to put closing down on always here. I don't want to let him have time on the ball. We're not going to have tight marking, but I think McCallin can do a good job of marking him tightly. Another thing which I'm just going to quickly cover is the fact you can set position instructions. So if they were playing with two wingers, you could set it so that maybe you close down the right winger and maybe you have different instructions on the left winger, which is great, but usually you want to set your instructions per player. This is because if you've got two wingers on the opposition team and they switch flanks, the instructions will stick to the guy, like the forward positions, rather than the players. And so if they have two kind of slightly different players and they switch, your instructions may not suit you the best. But anyway, guys, I don't want to ramble for too long. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching again. Thank you for your amazing support. We got like 35 subs in 2 days, which is mental. Like, honestly, didn't expect that at all, and I'm loving the fact that you guys are loving my content. I'm going to be doing some more videos over the weekend. I hope you're looking forward to them, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.